What's going on, Jason?
What's happening, sir?
Let's see. Not a whole lot.
Got
Not a
big
whole lot.
plans? Big plans this weekend?
Yes. No, I don't. I think I have
Nobody
this.
does.
Yeah, I think I have the same plans as everybody, which is try to keep it together.
Yeah, try to stay alive.
Yeah. Try to stay alive. Try to keep your sanity. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and I don't know if you and your family are experiencing this, but I know I am. There's like a lot to do, but then there's like there's so much you can still do. Obviously, as adults we want to work because we've got responsibilities and bills and all those types of things. But when it comes to oh, I'm going to read all these books or I'm going to watch all these TV shows or whatever, like there's so much to do. And my buddy David, who I was talking to, was just like, yeah, it's almost like you're procrastinating. Like you're like, oh, I'll just do it. I have at least 2 or 3 more weeks of this. I can just do it later. So I
You might
kind of
have
just,
2 or 3 more years of this.
I really hope not. I really hope not. Well, actually, considering the this really great top 10 list, if you will, of TV show recommendations that you and I are going to do for binging, it could probably take them 2 years to finish
Good.
to finish these. So why don't we just kind of get right into it? So this is a top. So the reason why I wanted to talk to you, Jason, is because despite having a young growing family and a big position with a electronics retailer, you still find time to just watch really interesting shows, movies. You're kind of the guy I always go to. I'm like, hey, I'm looking for a recommendation, or have you seen this? And more than likely, you've seen it and you have opinions on it. So,
Yeah,
so
if
I
there's
definitely,
one thing I'm good at, it's consuming content.
hey, you're made for the modern world.
I guess that's true. I guess that's true.
Are you the guy that when they say, hey, we want you to watch all the Marvel movies for straight through for $1,000? I'll do that.
23 in a row.
Yeah, I couldn't even do that. Like, I don't even know if I could be paid to do that. That's that. I mean, like, they're great movies, but that's just such a long time to watch.
Let's just cut out the Thor movies, cut out a couple of the Iron Mans, and I'll be all right.
Yeah. It's true. Actually, the first Thor was great because it introduced you to Thor and all that, and then the first Iron Man was great, and then after that, it was kind of like, although I did like Thor Ragnarok, just because it was like way different than anything that was really in the MCU.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. All right, so you're gonna do five. I'm gonna do five. There's not really any particular order. These are just 10, our kind of top 10 TV shows that are incredibly bingeable. You might have seen some of these before. You might have never heard of these before. Some of these might even be your favorites already, but these are the ones that we feel like if you haven't gotten on it, you better get on it, or at least now you have the time to do it. So why don't you start us off? What is uh one of your five?
Cool. So when I came up with this list, I tried to do something from each genre. So something for fans of everything. And I picked shows from different services. So I got 3 different streaming services you can find these on. And then my other thing was I didn't want to pick anything that was too obvious. So, maybe when we're done here, we can have a couple of like also rans. But, I picked some that people probably haven't seen and maybe have never heard of. So my number 5 is going to be called The Outsider. Are you familiar with The Outsider?
Yes, I believe it is on HBO, starring Jason Bateman.
Yeah, so HBO, Jason Bateman directed the first episode, maybe the second episode too, but really stars Ben Mendelsohn. And this is for the horror fans out there. So it's an adaptation of a Stephen King novel and really, really cool atmosphere. There's a shootout late in the season that is fantastic. Uh, Sometimes there's characters that make dumb decisions, and I do think it probably could have been shortened to like 7 episodes and still been really great. But there's 10 episodes on HBO Go right now. You can binge the whole series. Really great suspense, really good gore, and a plot that will definitely keep you guessing.
Mm, very cool. Yeah, I have it saved on my DVR because I was like, oh, because I saw Jason Bateman and I was just like, okay, and Ben Mendelsohn, who I really like. I was just okay, this has potential. And like most things, I have not gotten to that, but I did say that if there was ever a global pandemic, I will I will take the time to sit down and watch it.
Well, you're in luck.
It just
Um,
so happens.
it's got really great camera work.
Yeah.
Um, they definitely put a big budget into this thing. It's really cinematic and definitely worth your time. If you watch the first 2 episodes and you're not hooked, you know, stop right there. But episodes 1 and 2, pretty much everybody I've recommended it to has said, "Yeah, I'm in it."
I thought you were gonna say if you watch the first 2 episodes and you're not into it, then just hit yourself in the head with a hammer or something. I don't know.
Oh, I got a couple of those coming up.
No, yeah, it's definitely very interesting. HBO doesn't do like things that aren't good.
Yeah, for the most part, they're very
Yeah.
solid. They do quality over quantity for sure. They're the opposite of Netflix.
Exactly. That's as soon as you said quantity or quality over quantity, that's immediately who I thought of. That does not know that.
So, what do you got for your number 5?
So I have Lego Masters. Now, this isn't like this obviously is a reality show, and it's more definitely more for kids. Well, it's actually, I mean, I've actually talked to a lot of people who are adults, they're our age, and they absolutely love it. And it's closing down to the end, but it's on Hulu for those if you aren't recording it. I'm sure you can find it on demand, but it's definitely on Hulu. That's typically where I watch it because well, now I can watch it on Wednesday nights. So typically I wasn't available Wednesday nights to watch it, so I'd always catch it on Hulu the next day. So, yeah, it's just Will Arnett is the host. He's the voice of Lego Batman. Obviously, he's been in a lot of movies and TV shows, but he definitely is. Talking to some of my friends, he's definitely like part of the biggest reason to watch besides the Lego. He's just super funny, just does a really great job of kind of keeping it all together. And it's really fascinating the stuff that these people come up with. And I think there's 7 episodes out or maybe 8, and they are getting close to the end. So it's a good time to start binging and getting ready for the finale. But that's definitely a show I think that's going to stay.
It's just a competition about building Legos.
Yeah, so they have so Will Arnett is obviously the host, and then they have 2 brick masters as they call them. And what I learned was that apparently there's these brick masters that are hired by Lego, and they're the ones that create all of their sets. But these are like filled, like these are spots that don't, like there is no, like it's not like you can apply to be a brick master. Like it's almost like the Supreme Court. Like
I was just about to look that up too.
yeah, that's like they're like these are the people that are going to be creating these sets for years unless they decide to leave, and then it opens up another spot. I read that somewhere. I wish I had the article, but anyway, I thought it was fascinating. But yeah, it's just a cute show. It's fun. If you're a parent listening to this and you want something that you can watch with the kids, like it's a really great show. It's funny, and the stuff that these people create is some of these designs are amazing. It's really fascinating to see what they come up with, and
Sure.
and also like based on when we were kids playing with Lego, and all the different variations of Lego they have now because they can use anything. So they have all these different like pieces that look like a Rector set type thing. Like they just have all these new pieces that they can do incredible things with. So yeah, that's my number 5.
Awesome. My number 4 is coming from Amazon Prime. It's a show called Hunters, brand new show. Stars Al Pacino. I'm sure that if you watched the Super Bowl, you saw some Hunters advertisements. It's set in the 70s, which I love period pieces like that, 60s, 70s, 80s. Set in the 70s, you've got a team of people who are Jewish, and they're hunting Nazis who have been hiding out in America from, their repercussions from World War II. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It's super violent. It is very campy. I've heard it referred to as like the Jew-sploitation TV show. But if you're looking for something that's like, you're going to get a revenge fix, Hunters is a good choice and a good way to do that. Everybody in the cast is really good. Really interesting story. And one of the best opening scenes to a show that I've seen in a very long time. Had me hooked instantly. So Hunters is my number 4.
Yeah, I'm about halfway through Hunters. I like it a lot, and like you said, it doesn't. It's obviously handling a serious subject matter, but it's also it doesn't take itself too seriously, and some of the stuff feels very kind of Kill Bill, like Tarantino
Definitely,
esque. Yeah,
definitely.
and yeah, it is very bloody, very violent. But yeah, it's a really good it's a good show.
Yeah.
Amazon's they're the another company that does quality over quantity for
Yep. And you
sure.
can never get enough killing of Nazis. So
No, no.
if you're like, well, I need to kill some Nazis tonight, but I can't go outside to do it. Well, you can watch other people do it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's kind of like a mix of Munich. There was also that movie. The name is escaping me right now with um oh God, Ben Kingsley, where he is a Nazi, Nazi higher up, and he's hiding out in Argentina, I believe. It came out recently.
Yeah,
Um,
I know what you're talking about too.
yeah,
It's skipping my mind.
yeah.
It was
Um,
that memorable.
I liked it. I liked it, but yeah, if I can't remember the name of the movie, then
Airbud.
yeah. No, that's a great, definitely a great show to binge watch. And like you said, it fulfills that revenge fix that a lot of people enjoy in TV and movie shows, or TV shows and movies. So yeah.
Yeah. What do you got for number 4?
Well, this show's going on, I believe, season 14. And if you haven't got on it, you better get on it, because when this show is all said and done, it's going to be one of those cult classics like Arrested Development and other shows that just weren't appreciated when they were on. But it's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Yeah, like I said, I think they're going on season 14, maybe 13. It's on Hulu. It's on demand. The first, I don't know, probably the first couple seasons, it might be tough to get into. But I don't know. I liked it from the start, and then it really caught its stride in like season 5 and 6, I feel like. And I feel like the newer seasons are probably the best stuff that they've done in a long time. So, it's just, yeah, it's one of my favorite shows, and I feel like it's a super underrated comedy. It's kind of been tucked away on FX, now FXX, and but it's still going strong, and there's obviously an audience for it. And my hope is that more people get into it, because yeah, I don't know how many more seasons they've got in them, but I definitely think when it's all said and done, people are gonna be like, man, I wish I watched that show when it was on.
Yeah, it's the longest live action running sitcom in history,
Mm-hmm.
like 14 seasons. And it, like you said, I'm a big fan of that show too. It's
Mm-hmm.
amazing. They have really technical episodes too, like Charlie Work, which came out a couple years ago. The entire episode is one shot.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing.
They take risks. They, especially in the last few episodes or last few seasons, they've taken risks, and they've tried. I mean, when you're 13, 14 seasons in, like and there's still so much they can do with the characters, but they're definitely taking risks, like Charlie Work, just a whole continuous shot. They did one, I think it was called Being Frank, where it was all from Danny DeVito's perspective. They really,
They did a musical episode.
right. Yeah. Yeah. The one thing I love about them is that they are not afraid to, they're not afraid to recycle bits and try them again. And they
Yep.
do so many callbacks that if you're a fan of the show, then when the callbacks come around, you're just like, oh man, I love that. But anyway, it's a very crass show, but it's actually really smart as well. And there's a
Yeah,
lot
you
of
will be offended.
oh yeah, yeah, you'll be offended, you'll laugh. Yeah, it's just a great show. So number 4, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Again, it's on Hulu. I'm sure it's on demand. I imagine in most places you can buy TV shows. I'm sure it's available, but I catch up on it on Hulu or rewatch seasons there.
Cool. Um, yeah, so we'll go from the completely offensive to the completely inoffensive. My number 3 comes from Disney Plus, and this is a show called Bluey, which I'm sure you have never heard of.
Nope.
So Bluey is really, really great for parents. I know that right now, like in this time, there's a lot of people that are being forced to work from home, or they have kids that are, you can't go to school. So everybody's inside the house and you need to stick the kid in front of something for a couple minutes. This is even a show to watch with them, and it's called Bluey. It's an Australian show, but it is on Disney Plus, and it's about these four anthropomorphic dogs that are in this one family, and one of the kids' name is Bluey, and they're all Australian shepherds. And essentially, it's a show about play. So you have like the first episode, they're short episodes. They're like maybe 8 minutes long, 6 to 8 minutes long. You've got the first episode, which is all about keeping a balloon in the air. Like that's the game that they play. And it takes me back to when you're a kid and you just, you find a game out of everything.
Mm-hmm.
You find a way to make everything fun. And Bluey it's about that. So I watch it with my son. He loves it. And it's really something that like I can sit there and watch it with him and be entertained too. It's a really good show for parents called Bluey on Disney Plus.
Are there any segments where they cut to Bluey's Clues?
Not yet, but that would be a great crossover.
I'm pretty sure Nickelodeon or whoever would have issues with that.
That's true. We'd have to get some licensing going.
It's I'm glad that you said that, because when you were talking about the keeping a balloon in the air, I played that as a kid. I think a lot of kids did. It was just that you had a balloon and it had some like helium in it, and you were kind of just popping it around and like trying to keep it up, and it was like, juggling before you could juggle.
It's all about those games that you played when you were a kid. So, the floor is lava, or there's like one episode is where they take a trip to the dump, and they're like, explaining where all the stuff comes from and where it goes. So you learn a little bit, but it's a really fun watch for anybody.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm sure there might be a couple parents watching that will give that a shot, because I don't know what kids watch these days, but I'm sure parents are like, just they need something new. So yeah,
that's a good one. Bluey, Disney Plus.
Cool. All right, so this is if I wasn't already in familiar territory, I'm definitely getting in there now. But I when I talk to people, obviously I watch a lot of movies and TV, just like yourself. And when I talk to people and I talk about Narcos on Netflix, people are just like, "Oh, I haven't seen that yet." And that I just absolutely love that series. Now they're in Narcos Mexico. The first 2 to 3 seasons were focused on Colombia.
It's like now, NCIS, where they just have a different city, different.
Although this is probably it does kind of feel like that. Well, I have a feeling that once they get through the what's his name, the El Chapo stuff, that that'll probably be the end of the series, I imagine, because it started off with Pablo Escobar, then the Cali cartel, and now they're into the Mexico stuff. And not to really give anything away because it's all based on history, but now it's like it's to the point. I think they're getting into like the mid 90s or so with the drug traffic in Mexico, and so now I believe El Chapo. It's like war. It's like all the cartels are fighting with each other now, and the DEA is kind of caught in the middle of it. So anyway, it started off with the Pablo Escobar kind of story, and just the acting. It's just a really interesting show. Obviously, it's violent. It's definitely for adults, but what's cool is they cut it with real life. It's all based on fact and history, but they cut it with actual news footage and paper footage, or from the papers of the actual events and how they coincided with the show. So, like, it's just kind of interesting when you see like when Pablo Escobar was killed, and they actually looks like they actually filmed it at the exact location he was killed.
Wow. And
then they showed video footage of, because they actually had news to come out and see his body and all that. So it's really interesting. But yeah, it's I think it's like 5 seasons now. I think it's a great show and definitely very bingeable. So
I'm looking forward to the spinoff, Narcos Cincinnati. They just battle meth clouds.
Yeah. I don't think it'll go that far, but yeah.
All right. My number 2 is also on HBO Go, and this one has been getting a little bit of recognition just because of the Emmy season was good to it, and that's a TV show called Barry, starring Bill Hader. Barry is a show about an assassin. He's essentially a hitman, and he stumbles upon his true love, which is acting. And so you've got this guy Barry trying to be an actor, and his old life is kind of catching up with him. It's got a fantastic supporting cast. Henry Winkler's in there as his acting coach. Just a very good show. Bill Hader shows that he can do action and he can do comedy at the same time. And in season 2, it's got one of the best episodes of TV that I've ever seen. And I won't spoil anything, but I think it's called The Girl or something like that. But you'll know when you watch it. It's kind of an episode out of left field, and it's great. Barry on HBO.
Yes, that's on my list of things to start. So I imagine I'll get to it in the next 3 months of quarantine or whatever.
I hope so. In between all those books you're reading.
All those books. I'm literally looking at the stack right now and how like fresh and clean they look, and no bookmarks in sight. And yeah, I'll definitely get to, well, if I can read all these books and I can watch like some of the shows, I'd be happy. But
yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
On to your number 2.
Well, considering the season 3 is going to be dropping on Friday, I believe. On the I think that's the 27th. But Ozark.
27th, yeah.
Ozark starring Jason Bateman. I think for Breaking Bad fans that wanted something else besides, Better Call Saul obviously is a great show, but if you're looking kind of for something, the whole kind of fish out of water, family that's selling drugs that shouldn't be. It's really a great show, and of course Jason Bateman's amazing. The supporting cast is amazing. The villains, just the twists and the moments where you're like, oh my god, like what are they gonna do now? Like there's just so many of those moments that it's like one of the shows I look forward to every year. I don't think they're gonna do very many seasons. I think they're gonna do like 5 or 6. I think Breaking Bad only did 5. So yeah, it's one of those shows that it's probably more fun to watch it when it's on TV, because then you're like, because that I would say that's not to get into a whole thing, but that's, I guess, the problem with the binging model is, or the pro and con. Pro is that you can continue to watch, and as you go, oh my god, what's going to happen on the next one? Oh wait, it's going to start in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
That's great, but then I also think that what we went through with Game of Thrones, well, hopefully, most shows have a better last season, but as far as what's going to happen next week, that whole thing. So yeah. So I think with Ozark and Narcos and all the shows that are on Netflix, obviously you can binge them all at once. But I just think that it's definitely one of those shows that that while it's out and it's relevant, I think it's definitely worth watching it and kind of to be a part of as this thing unfolds. Because, like I said, I think they had talked about possibly only doing like 5 seasons, and they're almost there. So,
yeah, and Bateman did some directing on that show too,
mm-hmm.
and it shows like, man, this dude's just super talented. I think that binging when you have a really good show kind of does get hurt, because you don't have that week to like think about how cool it is. On a show of lesser quality, I think binging actually helps that show, because you don't have to think about those plot holes. You just run right into the next one.
Exactly. Yeah, Jason Bateman's come a long way from Necessary Roughness, by the way.
And was he on like Silver Spoons or something?
Teen Wolf 2.
One of those shows.
Yeah, well, it's so funny because I remember when I watched the first episode of Arrested Development, like, last decade sometime, I remember being like, oh yeah, I like this guy. Where's he been?
I like this newcomer.
Yeah. And he he was great, and his career blew up as it should have, because he's a super talented guy. So there's actually I saw an excerpt on YouTube where he was talking to Howard Stern, and he was talking about how the phone wasn't ringing, for a
Yep.
while. And yeah, it's pretty interesting to hear that perspective. So
Yeah, definitely.
for those listening, if you're interested in that, yeah, just look up Jason Bateman, Howard Stern. I'm sure it's like be one of the top clips. But
Yeah.
so I believe we're at you're number one now or close to it.
Number one. Yep.
Cool.
And so I saved this one for number one because it is my favorite. And it's a very underappreciated show you can find on Amazon Prime, and it's called Patriot.
Hmm.
And have you heard of Patriot before?
Are you talking about the Mel Gibson vehicle?
Different Patriot.
The one that was incredibly rooted in history?
Yeah, that was a true story. This one is not.
Okay. Yes, I've not heard of it. So yeah.
Okay, so this show, like I said, you can find it on Amazon Prime. It's going to be for fans of, I think it's, man, if I had to describe like the tone of it, it's more like a Coen Brothers type of thing. So if you're into the tone of Fargo or the tone of like No Country for Old Men, even, this is going to be a good show for you. It's their kind of comedy. It's a lot of comedy in there. It's more like a black comedy drama type of show. And I'm going to tell you the premise is going to sound really boring. It's an American agent needs to get a job at a piping firm so that he can safely go to another country where he's not supposed to be. So that's the premise. But it is so well written. The music is so good. I can watch this thing, like I can watch an episode and instantly rewatch that episode and find new things in there that are really funny. Every character is great. There's a character in particular named Dennis. He's an employee that finds out what's happening, and he wants so badly to be a special agent that he just tries to help out. Red Foreman from That 70s Show is in there as one of the bosses named Leslie. There's so many moments in it that I think about all the time or that I quote all the time. It's Patriot on Amazon Prime. It's one of the best shows out. Go watch it. It's only 2 seasons and they're shorter seasons. I really hope at some point they do a third, but I don't think enough people are watching it. It wasn't marketed the right way. But it's, if I had to rank it in my top TV shows of all time, it's easily top 10.
Wow. Okay. That's a huge endorsement from somebody like yourself. So considering
Patriot.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Lord knows I got the time.
As we all.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Yeah, I did not. I'm sure I probably passed through it on Amazon. Didn't know what it was, so didn't watch it. But now I'm definitely going to check it out. So
do it.
Cool. All right, my last one is a actual mini series. I don't know if people have seen it or heard of it, but it's called The Night Of.
On HBO as well.
HBO. Yeah, on HBO. I mean, you might be able to find it on Amazon too, just because there's a lot of you can buy TV shows. Some TV shows they make available to Amazon users. So, but yeah, it's I always forget his name. He was in Rogue One. He I think he's English and Pakistani, I believe.
Yep.
But yeah, I should have gotten his name before I got on this stupid call. But anyway,
pulling that up right now for you.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, he's kind of like this kind of sweet kid, like living with his immigrant parents. And I don't want to give too much away, but he basically finds himself on the wrong side of the law, just kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time, and ends in jail. And it shows the institutionalizing that happens to people who don't belong in jail. And it's really, you have these lawyers trying to get him out. His family's obviously worried about him. People don't know if he did it or not. But it's like, I have a soft spot for people, for people that go to prison, because I don't feel like there's any type of rehabilitation. And so, to see this, it just makes you sad, because that it happens. So yeah, it is a tough movie, but it's so well shot. The acting is amazing. And yeah, it's just hard to not get sucked in, to just the whole world and the story. And it takes place in New York, I believe. Yeah, it's just a really fascinating show. But it is heavy. So, depends on what kind of mood you're in for. But it's definitely a really good show.
Yep. And that's Riz Ahmed you were thinking
That's
of,
right.
with John Turturro's in there too.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Cool. I do have a couple of also rans. I'm just going to spit the titles out
Sure.
real quick, things that couldn't fit onto my list. But Arrested Development, streaming on Netflix. If you haven't seen Arrested Development, now's the time. I know you're a huge fan of that one as well.
Huge.
And there's a couple of really interesting FX shows that just started that people need to watch. The first is Devs. It's about like this Google type company led by Nick Offerman, and they find kind of like the code to reality. That one's amazing. Breeders, which is really fun for parents. Breeders is about the delicate balance of you would kill anything for your kid, but on the other hand, you constantly want to kill your kid. And then the last one is Dave, which is about this guy who just wakes up one morning and decides he's destined to become the next rapper, the next big rapper. And that's a comedy.
What show? What platform is that on?
These are all found on Hulu, FX on Hulu. Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so those are kind of some also rans I think people should be aware of.
Yep. No, those are great. Arrested Development's one of my favorite shows of all time. It's weird. I want to recommend Curb Your Enthusiasm. But I do remember like the first couple seasons were a little just kind of like, they were good, but they kind of were like so. So it might be one of those like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia situations where you're watching like the first season or so and you're like, I don't know. It's just so hard because once you get into the meat of the series, it's just so good. But it's hard, when you have so much else on TV, especially The Office. It's like I feel like this. It's this for everybody. Well, for a lot of people I know, it's like, hey, I'm gonna try out this new show, and then you get like 10 minutes into it, and you're like, I'll just watch another episode of The Office.
Yeah, and Curb is one of those ones where it starts off a little rough, but it's kind of like good for Seinfeld fans.
Yeah.
Now I think it's gotten to the point where it's a little bit too fantastical for me. It's a little bit too out there, like trying a little bit too hard.
They definitely like just because I know the beats now. Obviously I'm not smarter, wittier than Larry David, but like I've just seen his show for so long that I see how everything kind of connects and where he's gonna get blamed for this, that, and the other. So
it's definitely a formula.
Yeah, but it's still, I don't know, it still cracks me up. The Mandalorian obviously is great. If you haven't watched that, if you're into Star Wars, that's a classic now.
If you're a nerd.
I would say those are probably the best shows. The Boys on Amazon, that's great. That's a whole nother take on superhero genre. With the MCU, we're used to cheering for the good guys, and obviously it's done through Disney for the most part, so it's pretty family friendly. The Boys is not that. It is not family friendly. It is not, but it's it definitely plays on the whole, hey, like these are superhumans, like they have superhuman strength, and most shows that deal with superheroes don't go at it in this way that shows just how fragile we are compared to, or at least in this world, how fragile regular humans are to these super beings, So there's a lot of gore, as you can imagine, a lot of violence, but it's just a cool take to see superheroes are the villains, they're not the heroes, and it's the regular people that are the heroes. So I
if
really
you stuck a god in current times, it's basically what it is.
Yeah. So anyway, so there you have it. I don't know if you have anything else you want to add.
That's it.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah, we'll have to do this again. We'll have to find
we can do movies next time.
Yeah, because there's been a ton of movies I've finally tried that's sitting on the Netflix queue for a long time.
I've dabbled.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, I wish I would have watched this a long time ago. So
cool.
Well, thanks for coming on, man, and we'll have to do this again soon. And thanks to those who checked out the episode, and we'll definitely see you next time.
See ya.
See ya.